Have you ever wondered about the starkly different depictions of God in the Old and New Testaments? Or the wild imagery of the Book of Revelation? In this exploration, we'll delve into these intriguing facets of religious literature. The Book of Revelation, attributed to St. John the Divine, paints a vivid and often terrifying picture of the end of days. It evokes a God reminiscent of the Old Testament, one who is vengeful and punishing. This contrasts with many other parts of the New Testament where God is portrayed as loving and forgiving. Interestingly, the Book of Revelation is not included in the canon of some religions. The same goes for the Nephilim, mysterious, powerful beings mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. Some interpretations suggest they are fallen angels who mated with humans, adding another layer of complexity to the divine narrative. The first act of rebellion in the biblical narrative is not by humans, but by angels. Led by Satan, these fallen angels would go on to cause significant problems for humans, God's next creation. Despite this, God allowed these evil spirits to interfere with human life, a decision that continues to shape human destiny. The early failures of Adam and Eve, who were driven out of paradise for their transgressions, set a tone for human nature. They retained their capacity for both good and evil, a trait they share with the fallen angels. This dual nature has been a defining characteristic of humanity throughout history, leading to both great and terrible acts. In the Old Testament, we encounter a God who decides to cleanse the earth of its wickedness through a great flood, sparing only Noah and his family. This decision, which contravenes one of his own future commandments, "Thou shalt not kill," raises questions about God's nature and intentions. Despite this fresh start, humanity's propensity for failure persisted, leading to further divine interventions. Fast forward to the time of Moses, when God delivers the Ten Commandments. These laws were intended to guide humanity and rectify its flaws, but the continuing trials and tribulations of the human race suggest that this divine legislation had limited effect. To summarize, we've explored the contrasting depictions of God in the Old and New Testaments, from a vengeful deity to a loving Savior. We've discussed the controversial Book of Revelation and its apocalyptic visions, as well as the mysterious Nephilim. We've delved into the complex nature of humanity as shaped by divine intervention and heavenly rebellion. And we've pondered the efficacy of God's attempts to guide and correct his creation through laws and cataclysms. It's a fascinating journey through the pages of religious texts, one that leaves us with more questions than answers about the nature of God and the destiny of humanity.
What if divinity, as we understand it, is fundamentally misunderstood? Our journey begins with the Book of Revelation, an apocalyptic narrative that paints a vivid picture of the end of days, a divine reckoning led by an omnipotent God. It's a narrative that has been deeply ingrained in the collective consciousness of humanity for over 2,000 years. Yet, isn't it curious to question the nature of this divine being, who is often portrayed as vengeful and wrathful? Enter Jesus Christ, the embodiment of love and compassion, a stark contrast to the Old Testament God. Here we have a divine figure who serves as a role model for humanity, a beacon of kindness and forgiveness. Yet, the question arises, how can the same divine entity embody such contrasting characteristics? To reconcile this, some have resorted to attributing God's actions to mysterious ways, a term often used to justify acts that seem incongruous with our understanding of goodness. But isn't it time to question whether these ways are truly mysterious or simply a reflection of our own limited understanding? Fast forward to the present day, we find a world divided by beliefs. Some accept Jesus' divinity as the only path to salvation, while others reject it outright. Yet, isn't it intriguing to consider that the acceptance or rejection of divinity is a personal choice, not a universal truth? The concept of salvation itself is a topic of contention. The traditional view of accept or burn has been a source of fear and control for centuries. But isn't it more empowering to believe in doing good for the sake of goodness itself, without the promise of reward or the threat of punishment? And so we arrive at the end of days, the ultimate resolution to the human condition. But what if this is not the end, but rather a new beginning? As we delve into the realm of the supernatural, we encounter a myriad of entities. souls, angels, demons, heaven, hell, and more. These entities, though invisible, have a tangible impact on our lives, shaping our beliefs and actions. Yet isn't it essential to remember that these are mere beliefs, not established facts? In conclusion, the nature of divinity and human understanding is a complex, multifaceted debate. It's a journey that takes us from the stark imagery of the Book of Revelation to the compassionate figure of Jesus Christ, through the labyrinth of beliefs and into the realm of the supernatural. At the heart of this debate, though, lies a critical question. What if our understanding of divinity is not a testament to divine truth, but rather a reflection of our own human limitations?
Can free will truly exist in a universe governed by deterministic laws of nature? This question has been a subject of debate for centuries, and it's about time we dive deeper into it. From a religious perspective, many argue that free will is a divine gift, bestowed upon us by a higher power. They argue that the ability to make choices, to determine our own fate, is a fundamental part of our humanity. This belief is deeply rooted in religious texts, including the Bible, where it is often implied that we have the ability to choose between right and wrong, good and evil. However, these religious texts also contain contradictions and inconsistencies. For instance, in the Book of Revelation, it is suggested that some sinners are predestined to endure suffering before they perish. This contradicts the idea of free will, implying that certain people are destined for a certain fate, regardless of their choices. In the context of creation, the Bible suggests that humans were created fully formed a few thousand years ago, which contradicts scientific understanding of evolution. This discrepancy raises questions about the validity of other claims made in religious texts, including those about free will. On the other hand, the scientific perspective suggests that our actions are the result of complex processes in our brains, which are influenced by both our genes and our environment. This perspective implies that our actions are determined by factors beyond our control, challenging the notion of free will. In the realm of evolution, it's widely accepted that humans didn't simply appear fully formed, but evolved over billions of years. Our DNA shares 98% similarities with that of chimpanzees, further supporting the theory of evolution. This contradicts the biblical account of creation, further complicating the religious perspective on free will. Moreover, our understanding of the universe's formation contradicts the biblical account. Scientists estimate the universe to be nearly 14 billion years old, formed from basic atomic elements. The atoms then formed molecules, cells, and eventually, life. This process of increasing complexity contradicts the Bible's suggestion that complex life forms like humans were created first. In conclusion, the concept of free will is complex and multifaceted. The religious perspective, while deeply ingrained in many cultures and societies, contains contradictions and inconsistencies that challenge its validity. Meanwhile, the scientific perspective, based on observable facts and evidence, offers a different explanation, suggesting our actions are determined by processes beyond our control. Despite these differences, both perspectives contribute to our understanding of free will and its role in our lives. As we continue to explore this topic, we must be open to different viewpoints and willing to question our own beliefs. Whether or not free will truly exists remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the debate is far from over.
What if we told you that the end of human life isn't just a speculative concept, but a possible reality? A reality that has been encountered before in various forms by the very world we inhabit. In the grand scheme of cosmic history, the extinction of dinosaurs was a pivotal moment. It was a cataclysmic event that changed the course of life on Earth, marking the end of the Mesozoic era and the beginning of the Cenozoic era. An asteroid, a force of nature so unyielding and unpredictable, wiped out these colossal creatures, leaving a void in the Earth's biosphere. Yet from this void emerged the opportunity for mammalian life to thrive, eventually leading to the rise of humans. Fast forward to marine isotope stage 6, a time when the Earth was gripped by an ice age. The population of humans dwindled down to a few thousand, possibly taking refuge in the bountiful lands of South Africa. The survival of this small group was not a foregone conclusion, yet they persisted, and it is from them that we all likely descend. It's interesting to observe how there's an inherent balance in nature, a balance that extends to human nature as well. Consider water, a life-sustaining element that can also be relentlessly destructive when it manifests as floods or tsunamis. or consider the crucial yet precarious balance between heat and cold, both vital for survival but both capable of causing untold devastation. Now, cast your mind into the distant future, about 5 billion years from now. Our sun, the very source of life on Earth, will eventually burn out. This is an unsettling thought, the idea of our world, our species, ceasing to exist. But remember, in the grand cosmic theater, we are but one of the countless bubbles that the eternal existent has produced and will continue to produce. In essence, from the extinction of dinosaurs to the prediction of the sun's demise, we've journeyed through time, witnessing the delicate balance of life and the relentless march of natural forces. We've seen how life persists against all odds, how it adapts and evolves. And we've glimpsed into a future where our existence might come to an end, reminding us of our place in the grand scheme of things. We are transient, yet part of something eternal.
Could it be that the very essence of our actions, our decisions, our very existence is nothing but a puppet show orchestrated by the strings of destiny? Or do we truly possess an independent will, free to carve its path irrespective of the cosmic order? This age-old philosophical conundrum has been a topic of heated debates and intellectual discourse for centuries. It's a question that explores the concept of free will versus determinism. On one hand, we have determinism, the belief that all events, including human actions, are ultimately determined by causes external to the will. Some philosophers have taken this to imply that individual human beings have no free will and cannot be held morally responsible for their actions. Each perspective holds its own strengths and weaknesses. Determinism, for instance, offers a logically coherent explanation for why things happen the way they do. It aligns with scientific principles and provides a sense of order and predictability. However, it's often criticized for undermining moral responsibility and reducing human beings to mere pawns in a predetermined cosmic game. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the concept of free will, the belief that we have the power to make choices that are genuinely our own. Despite the constraints of physical laws and social norms, advocates of free will argue that we have the ultimate control over our actions and decisions. Each perspective holds its own strengths and weaknesses. On the other hand, free will empowers individuals and holds them accountable for their actions. It supports the concept of morality and justice, giving meaning to our decisions and actions. Yet it struggles to reconcile with the deterministic nature of the physical world and often falls into the trap of randomness and unpredictability. In the grand scheme of things, there exists a middle ground, compatibilism. This stance, somewhat paradoxically, argues that determinism and free will are not mutually exclusive. It suggests that our actions can be both determined by previous events and be freely chosen. However, this perspective too has its drawbacks, as it often falls prey to philosophical criticisms about the true nature of freedom and the extent of determinism. In conclusion, the debate between free will and determinism remains unresolved, with each perspective offering its own compelling arguments and counter-arguments. The question of whether we have free will, are bound by determinism, or walk the delicate line of compatibilism continues to challenge our understanding of reality. It's a question that provokes reflection on the very nature of human existence and our place in the cosmos.
Is free will an illusion? Are our choices truly ours? Or are they the result of a long chain of cause and effect that stretches back to the dawn of time? These questions have been at the heart of philosophical discourse for centuries, and today we delve into the depths of this fascinating concept. In the realm of philosophy, there exist differing perspectives on the notion of free will and determinism. There are those who believe in hard determinism, the idea that every event, including human cognition and behavior, is causally determined by an unbroken chain of prior occurrences. Under this perspective, free will as we understand it is nothing more than an illusion. Then we have the compatibilists, who propose that determinism and free will are not mutually exclusive. They argue that our actions, though determined by prior events, can still be considered free if they are the result of our own internal processes. Strangely, for compatibilists, free will is about freedom from coercion, even while acknowledging that everything is determined. Yet there are also libertarians, not to be confused with the political ideology, who posit that we possess free will and that determinism is false. They believe in the existence of a non-causal or self-causal event called agent causation, allowing us to act independently of the causal chain of the physical world. These varying viewpoints offer us a wide spectrum of thought on free will and determinism. Yet, a truly free will, one devoid of any influence, seems somewhat paradoxical. It's an alluring concept, yet it remains elusive, much like the quest for the Holy Grail. In discussing these philosophical perspectives, it's important to remember that words often fail to capture the full essence of what they represent. Concepts like infinity or nothingness may seem straightforward, but upon closer inspection, they reveal their complexity. Similarly, the nature of being and the universe, while seemingly finite, present us with immense, if not infinite, complexity. As we grapple with the concept of eternity, we are reminded of the limits of our understanding. However, the pursuit of knowledge and understanding, the insatiable curiosity that drives us, is a testament to the human spirit. The questions of free will, determinism, and our place in the universe may not have definitive answers. Yet, in the exploration of these ideas, we uncover more about the human condition and our inherent nature. Are we to blame for our negative tendencies? Or are these traits an essential part of our drive to explore, to strive, and to survive? In conclusion, the debate around free will and determinism is far from settled. It's a complex interplay of perspectives and ideas, each offering a unique lens through which to view the human condition. But one thing remains certain: the pursuit of understanding these concepts is a journey worth taking.